Good evening, YouTubers. This is the long-awaited part 2 to the street section in front of the town that I had begun a couple of weeks ago. I've done quite a bit since then. I did not record it all because I didn't really have the time to record and also do. So I'll take you on a little tour of this and show you some other items that I've done and purchased in the last few weeks and months. That I had actually recorded and then ended up deleting and not posting. So we'll try and get an update done here all at once. So the first thing is the street over here. It's almost finished. I still have to stripe it, and then on the far side in front of the buildings I have to put in some parking spaces. So I may have gotten a bit overzealous with the cracks in the pavement. But you know, we can deal with that later if need be. I put a couple of dark patches in there to look like you know, recently paved sections where maybe a utility company had come in and dug up the street. So there's one there, and there's one little one down here at the corner. Again, this is the latest proposed arrangement for the buildings, and obviously under those I need to put in some sidewalk. So that has to be done yet. I have the section in here down at the end, which is the unpainted black foam core from the dollar store. You can get, I believe it's 20 by 30 foam core at the dollar store for $1. And you know, it's as good as the stuff you pay $3 or $4 for at other places. Also, behind the main street, I've got the base down for where the train station, and you know, this is proposed locations right now. The train station kind of faces that's the inside main, and then this is you know, just a freight station I've got. I'm not sure if they're going there yet, but if they do go there, I'll put a parking lot here, and obviously some places around the freight station for parking and loading of trucks. That's my small street running area that you see. I've darkened it up a bit with some wash that I made from black acrylic paint and water and a little bit of alcohol. So I've darkened that down. What else? I put in this little connector section here between the existing roadway and the street. It had to flare out here a bit to meet the street evenly. And then the second thing I'll have to do is come back this direction with the street, put in a grade crossing here. Well, you know, I mean, it has a grade crossing, but it's just the indication of one to get back to the parking lot. And I'll have to cut this. This still has the paper on top of the foam core. So let's see, what else have I done? I'm not sure what's been shown, so I'm just going to start over here on the mountainside. I've weathered that, or not weathered it, but seen it get in quite a bit. I have some deadfall that's in there, here and there. Don't know if you can see that well. I sprinkled some colored ground foam that I had, some fall colors just here and there, just to get a little different look. Got a few pine trees in. I think I've shown those before. Let's see, coming around to the coal mine, not much has gone on there. Over here on the intermodal yard, I have laid in what is going to be a newer stretch of asphalt compared to the old stretch of asphalt that's over here. This is going to be my check-in, check-out station for the intermodal yard. So this is that black foam core that I showed you over there. You can see how dark it is when it's you know, untouched. This has some black and a little bit of white paint. It's sort of a really dark charcoal gray mixture that I just painted on top of the black foam core with. So it looks like a little bit of faded asphalt. I wanted it to be newer so that it looks like it's a newly paved road. Get back to the intermodal yard in a second. I have filled in along the edge of the road with some sand that I picked up at Michael's, just regular old sand that they have in their florist area, and glued it in there more or less as a filler, so that I could put some ground foam on it, some shrubbery and so forth. You can see here the section that I haven't done. I had a pretty big gap in there before. Coming down the outside, between the road and the fascia, I do want to put some type of fence in there, whether it's going to be chain link or a guardrail. Oh, speaking of guardrails, let me get back over here for a minute. I just kind of threw together this little wooden guardrail. I've also got some of the filler sand in here too. That's made out of 1/8 inch square balsa, painted gray. So kind of thought that looked old, you know, back in the day, before guardrails were metal. At least where I grew up in PA, they were made out of wood. So anyway, you know, that's it for now. I may may decide to change that, put another type in, but that's what I have in there now. It's fairly easy to make. All right, so back over to the road. The end of the road, you may ask, is where does the road go? The road goes down past the engine facility and into a parking area that I have. And this is going to be for trailer storage. It's not very big, but again, my intermodal yard is not very big either. But it gives me an area to park some trailers and gives me a reason to have a road going down there. Again, I'll put a fence around this. And this material right here is foam sheet. I got it at Michael's. It's about 1/8 of an inch thick. Don't know how well you can see that, but it comes in different colors. This is sort of a concrete, and it's really, you know, it's flexible. This is glued down everywhere else but here at the corner, so you can see how flexible that is. And it was a good color, I thought, for concrete, and you just glue it down with white glue. I've put in some sand and some dark ballast, kind of mixed it together just as a kind of filler between the edge of the concrete and the dirt back here. Of course, that's not done yet. That needs to be scenic. So coming back down past the engine facility, I'll talk about these some new rolling stock that I've gotten here. First of all, I've been out of town a couple of times on business, and there's a little hobby shop there. It's in Chattanooga, and they have a lot of old kits. I think most of it's consignment stuff, but all of this stuff is new. But anyway, I got a British Columbia Railway boxcar, and these have the metal underframes, floors. These are all metal. So I thought that was kind of neat. It's, you know, brand new, never been used. I got British Columbia Railway and also Great Northern, both roundhouse kits. Also, a roundhouse Burlington CB&Q caboose, which is partially put together. It's sitting over here on the end of this train, and in front of that is another Burlington route boxcar, which I got at the hobby shop as well. In front of that is a car I picked up at a train show in December in Nashville. There's kind of a funny story behind this car. I got it for $1, and the reason is the weight inside of it is loose, and the guy said that he was unable to sell it because the weight rattles around and people didn't like that, and so he had it listed for $1, and I said, well, heck, I'll take it for $1, because right now you don't hear that weight rattling around, do you? Yeah, exactly. It doesn't rattle at all when it's on the track, so works for me. There's oh, so your next question is, why don't you glue the weight down? Well, for whatever reason, whoever put the boxcar together apparently glued the underframe to the shell, and without destroying the shell, you can't get it apart. So anyway, that's the story about that. Moving on down, there's a GP30 right there running backwards. It's behind the GP40. Burlington, that's new. It's actually a Proto 2000. First one I've ever had. It's DCC, and it runs really well. The two of those together run really well. So I wanted a mate for my Burlington, so I got one. Let's see, nothing else here new. You've seen all the Western Pacifics before. That Rio Grande is a dummy, so there's no power in it. Back to the intermodal yard area. Let's move these out of the way. So, this is not what you saw here last time. I had some of that cardstock in here, and after I glued it down, I just didn't like it. It didn't look good. So I pulled it out, and I used some of that foam sheet Same stuff that I used over in the parking area I used here. And I drew some expansion joints on there with a pen, just a regular old ballpoint pen. Obviously it has to be ballasted around and, you know, cleaned up a bit, but that's the basic look of the intermodal yard. Again, it's very small. You can get about 4 cars in there on each track. So a few other things I've purchased. If you've seen Thomas McEwen's Railroad, the TN shortline fan, poor Thomas had an incident with the snow and ice here last week or so, and is going to have to rebuild his layout. So, you know, hopefully, you know, he'll be able to recover and rebuild, because he had a gorgeous layout there. But Thomas talked a lot about these radical flats. I purchased 3 sheets of these, and you can see one here. The bottom section of that is a long warehouse building, and just the bottom section of that is going to go right here along the wall right before the bridge. The top section of that I'll cut off, and I'm going to put it over here in conjunction with the building on the right, the lower section of this flat. Then I've got 2 buildings to cut off that are on the top, plus this King Mill building. So all of those are going to line up here along the wall, and hopefully I can do as good a job as Thomas did on incorporating those flats into my layout. The way that you put those up is some of that foam core board, the cheap dollar stuff. Obviously cut these out and cut the foam core out to match the outline of the building, and then use some adhesive, spray adhesive, the 3M, which I have down here. Scotch 3M Super 77 adhesive. Thomas says that works well, so I'm going to give it a shot. Let's see, what else? Oh yes, a couple other things. These are also train show purchases. I got a couple of additional turnouts in here. There's a right-hand turnout. These are both Pico. And a left-hand turnout. The show in Nashville that's in December is Train Collectors Association of America. I think they're primarily Lionel, you know, large-scale O-gauge stuff. But they do have some HO vendors who are there. And this guy had these 2 Pico turnouts for $5 a piece. And what I was about to say, you need to get to that show early because you can find some good bargains. So I got these 2 turnouts, and I put rail service down to that area there, which is also now paved. I guess I hadn't shown that before. I'm going to have to fill in some of the cracks there. This is just some... I needed to elevate this area, so this is actually cork that's painted gray. I need to finish it out, do something with the cracks there. But I've got rail service to that building. I've also added a spur that comes down this direction and is going to service this little warehouse and also the lumber shed here. You'll remember, or may not remember, this building was originally down behind the lumber plant here. It was sitting right in this area. I've moved the lumber plant down a bit in order to accommodate, you know, fitting it in this area. And so I'm not sure exactly what's going to go back here, if anything. Maybe just a lumber storage area. What else? I don't know if there's anything else. I think that may be it. So kind of next steps here are to work my way around the layout. You know, as I've been trying to start over here in the corner and work my way around with scenery and adding details and roads and that kind of thing. I've got to do some finish work on the paved road here. You can see there's some areas where it's a little bit different color. I got to work on that. Build in the fence, get the guardrails in. You know, decide on the towns. I've got building issues. You know, always, you know, a railroader's work is never done, I think. There's always a project. But anyway, just wanted to give you an update. I know that, you know, I had said stay tuned for part 2 on the last video, and it was a long time coming. So appreciate all the new subscribers. Appreciate everyone's comments, and for watching the videos. And I hope you'll stay tuned. and stay tuned for more updates. It's probably going to be about a month before I get the next update. I've got actually going to be away for a couple of weeks, 2 or 3 weeks, and won't be able to do any railroading. So again, thanks for all the support and for staying with me. Take care, guys.